Oh, John, have you missed me? I'd say so. I know you made a bunch of TikToks about me. I know that because I get notifications about them. I just ignore them. What I didn't know is how many YouTube videos you've been making about me. 1, 2, 3. That's the interview we did. We'll get that in a minute. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. Sorry I didn't catch those. I've been busy interviewing scholars and experts in various fields. You understand. But I did see this clip from our interview on Neil's most recent video.
If y'all want to fuck around and find out how crazy Neil's version of reality is, then please stay tuned.
Captain Dadpool sent me your video, the one where you debunk Carrier on the for like 3 hours or whatever. Really long.
Oh
video.
yeah.
Oh, you mean this guy? I have to ask. We started out this with you thinking that mythicists just sort of dismiss things. And I'm wondering if through our conversation, do you feel like I've just dismissed anything without reason?
I don't know if without reason is the best word. It's more like you have to cling to more fringe ideas in order to make them work.
The guy who had no good reason to dismiss my position other than how popular it was?
A quick bit of background before we get to the actual clip. T-Jump reached out on Twitter with saying that he had a potential debate with Richard Carrier on modern day debates and he needed some help with some information on historical criteria. And I sent that to him, and I also said if you want to get into the meat and potatoes of the mythicist position and why Carrier's arguments are flawed, I highly recommend checking out this video from Neil, who did a very thorough job explaining it. It had absolutely nothing to do with John, even though John was featured in the video that Neil made. The point of sitting in the video was to help him prepare for his debate against Carrier. Nevertheless, here we are.
That's the type of individual supporting Neil's videos. Okay.
See, I agreed to go on that interview with John because I thought he was still a friend at the time. I didn't realize he was the kind of person that he is yet. I'm not sure why he thinks this clip of me is such a gotcha, because John, I was trying to be nice. I wasn't trying to go straight to the jugular. I was trying to build a bridge of communication between the two of us. I was talking to you the exact same way I talk to Christian apologists when I go on their channels. Well, I'm going to be a little bit less cordial this time because, yes, mythicists absolutely dismiss the data. Now, I have Carrier's book. I've read it. I've got highlights and shit in it. I've done the work. Now, there are mythicists out there like John that make mythicism their whole ass personality. And then there's mythicists that just don't buy it. So, I'm going to explain something to you guys. The mythicist position hinges on taking a passage from Philo and combining it with a passage from the Ascension of Isaiah and combining them and reciting them both at the same time in Latin while you spin around and throw salt over your shoulder, and boom! That's where we get a sect of Jews that believed in Jesus specifically as a pre-incarnate being that would be executed in the firmament. When it comes to all the sources and references to Jesus in the New Testament and outside the New Testament, suddenly they have all these convenient little tricks to try and dissuade you from believing that they're actually talking about a physical Jesus.
Now, I just want to correct for people that this people do this all the time. He says Paul didn't believe in a physical Jesus. That's wrong. The peer-reviewed mythicist thesis, which is the stripped-down Doherty thesis that I passed through peer review at Sheffield Phoenix, and that Lataster also examines in his book for Brill, does not say that there wasn't a physical Jesus. The only thing that's different is where it happened. Where did Jesus acquire a physical body that physically died? That's the only thing that differs. So Paul does believe in a physical Jesus, on mythicism, even on mythicism. Paul believes in a physical Jesus who really did die. He really did become incarnate, really did die, and so on. So it is a physical historical Jesus in that sense. It's just not the Galilean guy that's walking around preaching it, right? So it's stuff that happened in a celestial or otherwise some other realm than ordinary human interaction. So it just annoys me when people keep saying that Paul didn't believe in you say Paul didn't believe in a physical Jesus. Like, you've got this wrong. I also don't say that it is not Jewish, that he didn't have a Jewish body. That's actually scripturally important that the incarnated body be Jewish, in fact, Davidic. That scripture required this, so obviously it had to be. So that this does not contradict mythicism at all. And in this interview, it's clear that neither of these guys have actually read the peer-reviewed thesis that I developed.
Oh, my mistake. They actually did believe he had a physical body. He just never came down to earth. See, that's how they explain away passages like Romans 1 specifically, where it says Jesus was born of the flesh and of the seed of David. That seed was actually kept in a cosmic sperm bank in outer space. Yeah. What about passages like Galatians 4, where it says that Jesus was born of a woman, born under the law? Well, friends, stop me if you've heard this one. Paul was being allegorical here. What about 1 Corinthians 11:23, where Paul says Jesus was betrayed? By whom? If he never left the firmament, who betrayed him? Well, they'll point to the beginning of the passage and be like, this is just something that Paul received from the Lord. And why did Jesus also say in the same passage, break bread, this is my flesh, drink the wine, this is my blood? Oh, I forgot. He actually does have a physical body. Don't know why I keep forgetting that. What about when Paul says he knows Jesus' brother? Oh, well, he doesn't actually mean brother. He just means, like, follower. What about the two mentions of Jesus by Josephus? Well, one of them's a forgery, and the other one's talking about a different Jesus. What about Tacitus? Oh, he's not actually talking about Jesus either. What about the Q-M&L documents that were used in conjunction with other sources to write the Gospels? Oh, those are just hypothetical documents. They don't exist. Even though I've literally heard Carrier say, yes, it's possible that the Gospel authors used multiple sources. But not Q, M, or L? So see how mythicists will insist you give them their very generous interpretation of the extra-biblical Old Testament text, but when confronted with the New Testament text, they have all these convenient workarounds. That's not how scholarship works. Now, there's a common response that mythicists make when responding to historicists that John accused me of doing in that clip, and that is waving the flag of the ad populum fallacy, right? This is not that. This is not that. And I'll explain why this is not that. When a new idea is brought forward in scholarship, it's not immediately fringe. It's just a new idea. And it goes through the rigorous process of being scrutinized by other scholars, checking your data, seeing if your information is correct. And if it is and sounds good and more scholars get on board, it may even become mainstream eventually. But it only becomes fringe if it gets rejected by pretty much everybody, and instead you double down. You insist that all these scholars that are critiquing your work are wrong, even high-profile ones, and you may even resort to more personal attacks.
So his argumentation here is just completely ignorant. And it's not because he's an amateur, it's just because he's lazy, I think. Like, he just doesn't check these things. And it's laziness combined with arrogance, right? So it's not like he's lazy and says, well, I haven't looked into that. I'm too lazy, I'm not gonna. No, he pretends to know as if he's done it. And it's the combination of those two vices that kind of make Bart Ehrman what he is in this debate. And it's shameful, and I wish he wouldn't act like this. There's no reason for him to do that.
I agree.
Of course you do, John. How far do you have to have your head up your own ass to say those things about Bart fucking Ehrman? So what does Bart Ehrman have to say about Carrier? Well, this was posted on his blog exactly a year ago. He is a trained scholar of history and classics with a PhD from Columbia University, an impressive credential. In my book, Did Jesus Exist?, I speak of him as a smart scholar with bona fide credentials. I do, of course, wholeheartedly agree with him on issues relating to the historical Jesus, but I have tried to take his views seriously and give him the respect he deserves. Richard Carrier, on many of you know, has written a scathing review of Did Jesus Exist? On his Free Thought blog. He indicates that my book is full of errors, that is, misforms more than it informs, and it provides false information, and it is worse than bad, and it officially sucks. The attacks are sustained throughout his lengthy posts, and they often become personal. He indicates that Ehrman doesn't actually know what he's talking about. He claims that I speak with absurd hyperbole, that my arguments make me look irresponsible, that I am guilty of sloppy work, that I misrepresent my opponents and misinform the public, that what I write is crap, that I am guilty of arrogant, dogmatic, and irresponsible thinking, and I am incompetent, make hack mistakes, and do not act like a real scholar. Again, if you're a mythicist because you just don't buy it, that's fine. But know that these are the arguments that are used to defend that position, and these are the scholars that you are aligning yourself with. So that's it. I just wanted to respond to that real quick. John's probably going to make a response after this because that's what he does. But I'm probably not going to engage with him after this. I simply don't care that much. and I've got better things going on. But I hope some of you found that informative or at least entertaining. But thank you for watching, and love y'all.
Hold on to your butts.